Well, Phil, you've read all the stories in the book.
I have.
What would you say was your favourite one?
Absolutely the flowers.
Really?
Yeah.
The shortest one in the book. Yeah.
That's not the reason why, but yeah, Alice Walker's The Flowers, definitely.
What sort of grabbed you about it?
I like the way I'm brought into the story. I'm a bit confused at first. I don't know where we are, when we are even. And the main character has a very strange name, Myop. I don't even really know how to pronounce it. So I know that it's not something that I could immediately relate to. So that gets my brain going. I'm wondering, are there any clues that maybe the writer is going to drop so that I can start getting a picture in my head of what's happening in front of me?
Yeah. And are there any clues? Which clues does she drop?
Well, in the beginning, she talks about harvesting corn and cotton and peanut and squash. We know it's an agricultural place, some kind of farming going on. And I did notice, I think, that they have to fetch water. So I'm already thinking that they're poor. They don't have running water in their home. And then I also get the atmosphere. Alice Walker, I've read other stuff by her. She's a great writer. And what I like is that she's not just describing what we can see. She's not making a picture. She's also talking about how the central character feels. There are noises early on. She's got a stick and she's making noises along a fence. And there's lots of, like, not just visual clues, but also about how she feels.
Is this a character that, I mean, she's a 10-year-old girl, and I can safely say that you are not a 10-year-old girl, but you still feel you can sort of identify with her?
I can, actually, yeah. And that's one of the things I really like about the story, of course. She goes for a walk in the woods. She actually picks flowers. But what I do, my hobby is taking photos. So I can absolutely relate to that. But whereas she would pick up the flowers and carry them home, mine would come back on a memory card in my camera. And I also really like music. And there's a line, I think she says that nothing existed for her but her song. And that happens to me all the time, that I'm walking around. It doesn't have to be in the woods. It can be in Oslo. And I make up my own music, but I also listen to music on the headphones, and I'm in my own world.
Yeah.
And that's her too, definitely. So I can relate to her.
But it's quite the ending of the story is quite dramatic, isn't it? I mean, it's quite shocking, really.
It is. And I was kind of expecting something like that, because the beginning, it's beautiful. There's a golden surprise. And I actually think, this is too idyllic. It reminds me a little bit of some TV series I've seen, where everyone is suddenly happy and cheerful and happy-go-lucky, and there's lots of small talk, and I I don't like this. Something's going to explode, or someone's going to get shot by a sniper, or something's going to happen. And actually, this is exactly what happens, of course, in this particular story.
Yeah.
I mentioned that it's so beautiful and golden surprises and everything at the beginning, but then halfway through the story, we get words like gloomy and damp, and they're kind of pointing towards something negative is going to happen. Something, like you say, it's rather shocking. And it's the discovery of this body. I said I could relate to the girl on some levels, and on others, of course, not. I'm very different from her in many ways. I've never come across a dead body in the woods. And again, the way Alice Walker writes, we get clues. You know, it's not immediately obvious what's going on here. Okay, it's a dead body, but then it becomes apparent. We've already been told, by the way, that Myop has dark brown skin. And then cotton and the farm, and you think maybe we're in the South in the United States.
Sharecroppers, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the noose and the clues that this is someone who has been lynched a long time ago, perhaps. Not much left of him by now.
Yeah.
And I have to say that, and this is something I think, I don't know if the students have been discussing this when they worked with the story, but her reaction to finding the dead body, because at first, what does she do? She carries on picking flowers. And to me, that's really surprising. But it's not really until she realizes, when she finds the noose and realizes actually, how, and more importantly, why this man has died, that it all sinks in. And I love the ending. I absolutely love this ending. She puts down her flowers and the summer was over.
Yeah. Yeah.
The summer of her life.
Enough said. It's
End of her childhood.
Yeah. Well, now I'm dying to tell you about the story I like best.
Which one do you?
I really like The Raft. It's a fairly short one as well. It's very different from The Flowers. I mean, it's what I like about it is it's this sort of mixture of the humorous and the serious. I mean, it's the theme of the story, or the action of the story is very serious. I mean, this is an old man confronting his past and sort of seeking forgiveness, and he's seeking forgiveness for a terrible thing, right? We were talking about a major war crime here. He torpedoes these defenseless Japanese soldiers or sailors on a raft, and he's clearly racked by guilt, but still tries to justify himself both to his grandson and to himself. So that's a very serious, heavy material for a story, but it's done so lightly because the grandfather is also quite a ridiculous character. I mean, he still locked in his naval language and his naval style. He says, "At ease, sailor," to his to his grandson, and with his most peculiar pornographic comic magazines in his desk, and we gather that he has lost his short-term memory. So what he can't remember is that he's told this story to his grandson, God knows how many times. But I think what's nice is this relationship between the grandfather and the grandson. The grandson obviously has experienced this before, that the grandfather has told him this story, and he tackles it by trying to be a bit of a smart aleck and be funny and at his grandfather's expense. But at the end, you realize that this trauma that the grandfather has experienced has also been the boy's trauma. And at the end, he realizes that something has changed. And the change, he says, is if I can remember it, he says something like, it's not the story you tell, it's where you tell it. And he tells this story in this particular occasion in the closet, right? So they go into the closet to hear this story, and it's just like going into a confessional box,
Right, that's the significance.
Yeah. And and this is where he breaks down and cries, and his tears flow freely, and you realize that this is some sort of an epiphany, in a sense, that he's actually talked about it properly and is contrite, or actually experiences remorse. And the boy says that for once he doesn't feel that hand grabbing his foot. So he's clearly had a nightmare about this himself, about his grandfather and what he did in the South Atlantic during the Second World War. So it's a surprisingly complex story, and at the same time you've got this ordinary everyday life going on outside, with not least grandmother coming in and said, "Are you there, Seymour? Bring out the little boy. What are you doing in there?" So you've got sort of normality on one side, and then this traumatic experience being related in the closet, which is, I think, a striking image.
Some light relief.
Yeah.
While it's a very serious.
Yeah, there's sort of absolutely there's a lightness of touch talking about something really, really quite dramatic, which I enjoyed.